Hey, Gennaro, how you doing, brother?
How you doing, Mo?
Very good. Nice to meet you. Happy
Likewise.
to have you here with us on Smart Training 365.
It's great to be here.
And congratulations on winning the AAU Masters 50 to 54 and the Short Class Open Division.
That's right. Yeah, thank you.
Great achievement, man. How was it? How was the experience?
Oh, amazing, man. I mean, my preparation, as you know, I'm not sure if you guys do know, but I only had about 4 weeks to prep.
Why is that?
For it. Well, Martin Drake, I was talking to him, and he asked me to compete, and I had no real desire to compete this year with everything that has been going on, and we connected, and I said, look, give me a week to like early October. I said, give me a week to just diet and see what my body looks like, eating clean, bringing up my training intensity. And after a week, I thought, why not? I was pretty happy with how I progressed. And then I just gave him the thumbs up, and I went for it.
Very nice. How far were you before you start getting ready for the competition?
I mean, I always stay fairly lean, Mo, but this year I probably was for my level, at my worst condition, because, for the most part, I was training outdoors with bands, doing push-ups. I also had a knee injury from doing jump squats and split squats and a lot of high impact stuff. I injured my knee, so I couldn't train my legs for like 5 months. Once I got in the gym early September, I started strengthening my quads and my knees just through, leg press, leg extensions, all those weightlifting moves, So, I really went at it hard, and I was pretty happy with my condition.
Very good. You looked fantastic, man. We're gonna get to that shortly.
Thank you.
So when you started preparing 4 weeks before the competition, what did you do different, and how you brought your level up to competition level?
Well, I was averaging 6 meals a day. So I actually was eating more protein, less carbohydrates. So I would only have my carbs before and after training, usually oats or cream of rice or sweet potato, and protein with those meals. And everything I ate was cooked here in Ferra's kitchen in my home. Chicken breast, salmon, a lot of red meat, because that works well for me. Ground beef, lots of vegetables.
How many grams of protein? How many grams of protein and carbs approximately?
I was probably averaging about 220, 250 grams of protein a day, at least. I mean, I'm only 100. I came in, I weighed in at 162 pounds, Mo. So,
oh wow.
And I probably had, I don't measure my food. I don't weigh my food. I just go on sort of how I eat, and I look in the mirror, and I eat and I look. I gauge it that way. So I was maybe averaging about 200 grams of carbs a day.
Oh, that's really good, man. 250 and 200 grams, that's really work, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I can't, if I deprive myself, I shrink very quickly, I'm naturally ectomorph. So my body's sort of going to always go back there if I don't feed it,
Right. And 3 days prior to the competition, how were you eating? What did you take off? What did you add?
Honestly, I I cut back on my carbs even more. I kept my protein sort of steady, and I increased my fats just a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I was drinking lots of water, maybe up to 8 liters a day, 9 liters a day.
Wow. That
kept me full. One of my friends who I've known for years, since the mid-80s, John DiStefano, he's a former Mr. Australia. He, you know, we're really good mates, but he also, like, I talk to him. He's like my support. He gives me like advice as well. You know, you need that that support there nutritionally, I feel.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then leading up to the show, like the day of, I cut back on my water a little bit, but I would only replace it from like what I expelled, you know?
Yeah, I saw a picture on Facebook. You said I felt dry, so you had like a rice cake or something like that?
Yeah, like rice cake with some peanut butter, some jelly. I mean, I know most people do that, but it works for me as well, you know?
Right, right.
And then just before, I had a few Reese's peanut butter cups or some, actually they were Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, a bit healthier. Yeah. Those peanut butter cups, chocolate peanut butter cups, a little bit of sugar before you go on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have probably come in fuller, Mo, but, you know, also got to watch my midsection too.
Right. You don't want to feel bloated.
You know what I mean? I could have been fuller and like maybe tighter across the shoulders and the chest.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, I'm known for my midsection, and I don't want that to get too bloated.
Right. And that's based on your competitors, this choice, or like, let's say if your competitor were different, it's okay.
No, I don't look at my competitors at all. Okay. I mean, I was watching your interview with Martin, which was really good. And Martin was talking about how conditioning is not like right up there in terms of priority for judging. But that's my, you know, for me, conditioning is everything. Mm-hmm. Like conditioning is bodybuilding. It's not the be all and end all, but it's one of like what makes a physique complete. You know, like honestly, if you could have the best shape, you could be the best poser, you could have the greatest charisma, but if you're not cut, you're not ready. You shouldn't be up there.
Right.
You know, and vice versa. If you're conditioned, but you have poor shape, which isn't, you know, it's what you're handed out, right? Genetically.
Mm-hmm. Yes, genetically.
You have poor shape and you can't present yourself, then same thing. But if you have all 3 components or 4 components, the conditioning, the shape, the stage presence, the size, obviously, you know, size is important, then it's a win-win, you know?
Yes, yes. All right, so how did you feel when you walked up the stage the first day? Like, how was the atmosphere? I know the conditions are completely different this year. I think you're freezing up a little bit.
I'm losing you a bit, Mo. I'm
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it again. So what I said is, how was walking up the stage when you know now this COVID condition, things are not really the same as before?
Nah, it was same business as usual, Mo. I mean, you know, competitors were really nice. Martin did a great job organizing everyone.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a well-run show. You know, people in the audience were social distancing. I mean, honestly, other than the masks, everyone respected each other's space, and there was no one was really uncomfortable, you know? It was a good atmosphere, people were friendly, and it worked well, you know?
Perfect. Yeah, that's very nice. And to be honest, respect for Martin for making it happen in these conditions, because
amazing.
it's not easy. It's not easy right now.
No, he's a multitasker, that one. I mean, I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, he
It's
told me
pretty
that he
amazing.
barely sleeps. Like,
He has a great voice for bodybuilding. He's a great commentary. You know, he's very professional, and yeah, it worked well. I mean,
yeah,
it was great.
when was the last time you competed before this competition?
So in 2018, I was invited by Wayne D'Amelia. I was preparing for the World Fitness Federation Mr. World over 50s in California.
Mm-hmm.
Graham Lansfield is the president of that. And I got a call from Wayne D'Amelia, who I met through a friend prior, and he checked me out on, you know, on social media. I was doing some posing on the Brooklyn Bridge, and he goes, "What are you doing next weekend?" And I said, "Why?" He goes, "I've got a show. Someone bowed out, and we'd like you to fill that spot." And I still had 5 weeks prep for the World Championships in California. I go, "Look, I'm lean, but I don't know if I'm ready." He goes, "Well, get ready. You know, we'll sponsor you." And I was in Tijuana. It was the North American Bodybuilding Championships, and I won that. I won over 50 and classic bodybuilding. And then I think 2 or 3 weeks after that, I went back to the West Coast and runner-up in the over 50s. And then a week after that, he took me to Spain for the IFBB World Championships. There was a little bit of confusion there with my weight, because I mean, I was looking unbelievably ripped, conditioned, and I was weighing about 165, and I was going in classic bodybuilding, and they go to me, "You need to be 154.
Oh.
And I said, "What?" I said, "But in Mexico, I was fine. You know, I did classic." No, you need to be, otherwise you're going to compete with the bodybuilders who were 3 inches shorter and 5 feet wider. So, you know, it was a tough one, but it was fun, you know. And then after that, I did a guest posing that was like a competition too, because I was still pretty lean. Did a guest posing in Connecticut for the IFBB, and then a week later, I still wanted to compete. You see, I should have stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And then I placed second in the Miami Classic, and then that was it. I was like, I'm done, you know.
Yeah. Wow, you've been competing for a while, and you like for how many years? When did you start? Like,
So I started competing in 1986, Mo. I was 19. I won the teenage. So I'm from Melbourne, Australia.
Okay.
The capital, the state of Victoria. So I won it was called the Victorian Country Classic, the teenage. Then I won the Mr. Victoria, the state titles, teenage. This was all in 1986, and then I placed 4th in the teenage Mr. Australia, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then 3 years after that, I took the open overall, not the overall, sorry, the open height, medium height class in the open Mr. Australia in 1989. Yeah.
Wow.
And I did the universe and the world, and I was young, but yeah.
Let me ask you this. You said you started young at 19. When did you start working out, and how did you decide to start competing? Like, what did it for you?
Good question. So I started late. I know a lot of American young bodybuilders start some of them start 13. I started because I was involved in, you know, Australian rules football, cricket, soccer. I started around shortly after I left high school. I was about 17 and a half. I was very skinny, like I said. And my friends were, and my older brother and my friends were all into like calisthenics, pull-ups, you know, the bull bar, the bands, and I started working out after high school. My dad joined me up in a gym, and I started responding well. I worked out of a gym called Better Body Fitness Center, owned by Sammy Ioannidis. I don't know if you know him. He's a former NABBA Mr. Universe. So back then, Mo, teenage bodybuilding and junior bodybuilding was huge. They had posters like on gym walls. You don't see this anymore. And this gym, because Sammy was a former, you know, not former, he was NABBA Mr. Universe, and he won 3-time junior Mr. Universe, good friends with Reg Park. There was this atmosphere of young guys.
Right. Very motivating.
Wanting to compete. So every other month there was a bodybuilding show in Melbourne. And then there was another guy named Rocco Pedisano who had his own federation called the PBBI, which I used to go see Sonny Schmidt. You know, Sonny Schmidt is he's an Aussie, great Aussie bodybuilder. So bodybuilding at this gym in particular, but in Melbourne, was growing very quickly. And you know, guys, we're very competitive. Like,
right,
I've
of
got
course,
bigger buys than you got bigger pecs. I've got wider lats. So and it was good competition. It was friendly competition. We all helped each other.
Yeah. And
once you realize that you have, like, after training for maybe a year, I would watch these guys, you know, and I would watch Sam, and I would go to shows, Mo. I would go to a lot of these bodybuilding shows and say, all right, where do I fit in, right? Am I good enough to compete as a teenager? That's important for young people now, today, is to go see shows or watch YouTube videos and say, go in the mirror and look at themselves and say, all right, can I be competitive at this point? So I would go to shows, and then I would go home, take my top off, start posing, and I would say, all right, I think I can do this. I'm gonna do a show in whatever, 8 months. And so I started, you know, working towards sculpting the body, losing the body fat, working on my routine, everything. And I loved it. I was like, I love this, because you know what it is, Mo? You know, back in the 80s, I was watching guys like Bob Paris, you know, Ben Fatto, Lee Labrada, Lee Haney, all these beautiful physiques.
Yes.
Who would present themselves on stage with finesse and class, and they also had very unique, creative routines.
Yeah, artistic.
So artistic. So I think more than the actual, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the physique, but it was the movement that got me. The performance element of bodybuilding that hooked me, you know?
True. That's what I was talking about last time with Martin. He said, like, the way you present your muscle and how you know that you have some weakness, and how you hide it and how you know, do that is very important.
Exactly. You got to move quickly, swiftly. So people, they don't see your weight. Like, look at Muhammad Makawai. He was the master of illusion. He knew, you know, he wouldn't stay in a pose that highlighted his weakness too long. He would get there, hit it, triceps, back, shoulders, but he lacked hamstrings, right?
Yes.
So he would move, you know, position his body accordingly, so you wouldn't really see that fault, you know.
How you can improve your posing when you know that you have weakness, like just by practicing it in front of the mirror, or you need someone to say, yes, it's still there, you have to do this and that? How it works?
A little bit of both, but I gotta tell you, Mo, I felt like my previous shows, because I really enjoy posing and I like to be spontaneous. That's what I was doing in previous shows. I was just kind of winging it. But I really rehearsed for this routine. I chose the music, but I was also watching like guys like Doug Brignoli, right? A lot of those 80s guys, Jeff King. And what I noticed about these guys is they really held their poses and they squeezed, right? That's important. And also turning your body out, you know, like a little bit, because I'm not that thick sideways.
Yeah. I
have to turn my body out to create more thickness. Exactly. And, you know, so I was like, all right, how do I make myself look like that guy, as thick as that guy, even if I'm not as thick as him? So for me, it's all about, also I have certain strengths, like my triceps. I feel like I got good triceps. I have,
your quads.
Sorry?
Your quads.
Not bad, not bad. So yes, so with the quads, my quads are, I feel like they're not, you know, they need more size, they need more sweep. But what I noticed about some of these guys that I was watching, and even, you know, in the past, is that they open up their legs, right? Yeah. You got to open up your legs. You can't, unless you got massive quads.
Yes.
You can't keep your legs together. My legs are going to look like two sticks. Yeah. So even like the hamstring, I have a good, decent hamstring quad separation. So that creates the illusion. My calves are pretty good. You know what I mean? So I have to compensate using those areas, the shape in my hamstrings, my calves, my glutes, compensate for the lack of quad size. Right. You know? Yeah. So I'm still, that's the beauty about it, Mo, is that even at this age of 53, I still feel like I've got room to improve, you know? You said 43? No, 53. I'm 53.
You sure?
Yeah,
I don't
man.
think so.
I don't know, I am.
You look great, man. You look great.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Here's the thing. Like, you're saying now how to work your posing to cover those weaknesses. Now, some people during the workout, they try to work on their weakness with, like, try to, let's say, make a muscle bigger and stuff, because we know you cannot change the shape of a muscle. So how did you work on those parts? Like, let's say on your first show, you got feedback and you said, okay, you know, if you work on your shoulder and if you add this and this. So how did you do that?
You mean recently or in the past?
No, in the beginning, in the past, because of course we all have this. We need to work on proportion. Okay. Right. So some people, they think that you can change the shape of the peak of, like, if you don't have a peak, you're not going to have a peak. You can improve your muscle, you know, but you cannot have. So how did you do that? Like, was it more workout for that specific muscle, more sets, reps? How did you do it?
I mean, all of the above, really, Mo. Like, for me personally, my back was glaringly weak, right? Very, very narrow. I had lacked lat width. So I would do a lot of pull-ups, one arm rows, and always prioritize. I would train my back at the very beginning of the week where I had most energy, right? Okay. And I would destroy my back. I mean, I would do a lot of giant sets. All right. I would go heavy. I mean, I would mix it up constantly. One day I would do heavy and slow, you know, heavy bent over rows, heavy one arm rows, seated rows. And then the next day I would do like a big giant set circuit. Okay. You know, seated rows. Training. Sorry?
Like circuit training, like you go from one.
Circuit training. And the goal was to just feel those lats push up against your right.
Right.
And then obviously, Mo, when you're young, when you're a teenager, you got to eat, right? If you don't eat,
did you eat well back then, or?
I was eating up to 6,000 calories a day.
Wow.
I got up to like 103, 4 kilos. Back then, at 5'7". But what it was, Mo, is I was so in love with bodybuilding that I didn't care about anything else. I didn't care about dating women or modeling, or it was
that
just
was
work.
Your love and passion and everything.
Yeah, and JD, who I mentioned, who helped me with the nutrition, he was a big boy, and he's like, listen, you gotta eat.
Right.
And so we all used to go out as a group. There's like 6, 7, 8 of us. Mm-hmm. We'd get picked up and we'd go. Our Friday night, Saturday night was going out for Lebanese food or pizza, and then we'd have ice cream, and then we'd go home, watch bodybuilding videos, and go to bed.
Yes.
So it was like it was ingrained in our lifestyle.
Yes.
And then the next day you got all this energy, and you have a big breakfast, you go work out. So it just multiplies, right? That's the mistake a lot of people make, is that there's no long-term. You gotta have a vision.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You gotta keep building on progress, because people are like, oh, I'm doing this because I lack this, but you've got to go heavy.
Look at the big picture, yeah.
You got to, if you're not, you could do whatever, you could perform the fanciest exercise in the world, but if you're not resting, if you're not eating enough food, then you're not drinking enough water. If you're not in the right frame of mind, you won't grow.
Right.
So for me, like the challenge was for me, Mo, in bringing those weaknesses up, like even my chest, I never had a thick chest, but the shape was there, was just writing it all down. Like, how can I devise a calf program? Like even my calves were very, very small and thin and narrow. What do I do to get Sammy Ioannidis calves? I don't know. When you get a chance, check.
Yeah, I'll check him out. Yeah.
Beautiful calves, beautiful quads. He was the owner of our gym. I was like, hey, there's my role model right there.
Yeah.
Let's go. I would do upside down toe press, 45-degree leg press, toe press, standing calf, donkey calf, right? The boys on your back.
Yes, yes.
So it was, and all the 5 days a week training calves. So there's no room for error, no room for not progressing, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How good is your recovery?
That's a great question, actually, Mo, because it's all instinctive. It's pretty good, actually. Overall, I've got good recovery, but my body will let me know. My body, my mind will let me know when it's time to rest,
mm-hmm.
But I think it has a lot to do with motivation too. Like what's going on upstairs? Like, all right, do I have a goal? Like I feel they lack that recovery because they lose mental focus too. Right. But overall, I'm more like, for me, I'm less, some people train one body part a week. I like to do my body parts twice a week.
Okay. How long is your workout?
Well, that's another question, because the last 5 years, honestly, I don't train a body part, like for example, back, which is one of the largest body parts, no more than 35 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
like I'll train, like today I'm training twice. I already trained shoulders, 35 minutes. And then later on, I'll go back and do biceps and triceps, probably another 30 minutes. So no more than an hour a day.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you actually. Like when you first started bodybuilding, did you work out every day, once a day, twice a day, or you maintain until today? It's basically the same thing.
No,
same frequency.
Good question. I trained, my first routine was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, weekend off. So I would do back, biceps, chest, back, bis on Monday, for example, legs, shoulders, tries Tuesday, Wednesday off, and repeat Thursday and Friday. And that's a lot of.
Yes.
Probably not the most ideal. But you got to understand, I was eating a lot.
Yes.
Eating a lot of food. I was a student as well. I was finishing my teaching degree, so I wasn't really intense. Working a little bit, so it wasn't a very intense lifestyle. I was able to commit more time, and I was spending more time in the gym too, taking much longer rest between sets. Yeah, because you want to get those heavy lifts up. You know, there was a competition amongst us. Everyone got up to 3 plates, right? 3. Back then, Sam had, I think the bar was 35 pounds. And he had 44-pound plates, right? So someone did 15 reps on, I don't know what that is. It's about 290 pounds, right? Yeah. And so I said, I'm going to do 20 reps. And I did 20 reps on 290. And then, you know, someone else did 25, right? And so I did 25. And then we got into a fight, you know. It was a punch up in the gym. Because there was one guy, anyway, I won't go into that. But, you know, like, what was I talking about? Yeah, people, you know, like generally friendly competition helps you raise your standards. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The exercises you were doing back then, did you change them, or did you find out like over the years there are some exercises that worked best for you, then you eliminated some and you start focusing on those?
Great question. So our thing was press behind neck, right? Seated press behind neck. And I was very strong at that. Very strong. And that was, it was like the man's, believe it or not, other than the squat, if, you know, everyone was like impressed if you did a lot of weight press behind neck. Yeah. Because not only was it a difficult movement, but you were doing it behind your neck. So, and I felt like like my shoulders grew a lot from that. But over time, you know, the exercise physiologists and the experts were saying how bad it is. I mean, I don't disagree with them, but that's one exercise that I very rarely do today. If I'm doing presses, I usually do, you know, in front, or I do an Arnold press. Yeah. I do hammer strength. I still do a lot of, I think pull downs, you know, still do a lot of pull downs. Yeah. I used to do a lot more pull-ups. I used to do a lot more chin-ups back then, but because I got a few shoulder issues, I have to watch I do a neutral grip. What's your shoulder issue? When did it start? Like early ages? No. Like, no, everything was strong in my 20s. I think, you know, wear and tear, Mark. Yeah. Nothing serious. A little bit of bursitis. Yeah. But I still have to be very careful. You know, you can't take it for granted. Of course. What else was I going to say? There's an exercise, one arm rows. I mean, the one arm dumbbell rows, I see a lot of people doing those wrong. And I think they're like one of the really tried and true exercise that you should include in your back routine. There's one thing, say back then, if you were seen doing walking lunges back in, you would have been, people would have laughed at you. You know what I mean? Like I probably would have been, people would have thrown things at me, you know, because it was like, nah, please, we're not having that.
What?
So I don't know. It's just, it was funny. Like, it's like, what, you're going to walk across the gym, please? You know?
Yeah.
You
Don't be too creative.
Like, that's another thing is etiquette. I mean, I'm not saying, I love walking lunges. I think they're great. We used to do alternating, you know, with a bar, stationary lunges, back and forth.
Right.
Yeah, so these are exercises that I do today that I wouldn't have done then, you know?
All right. Okay. So who are your favorite top 3 bodybuilders?
That's a great question. I mean, they all have something special and unique. I mean, for me, the 80s was the most beautiful era for bodybuilding. I mean, the 70s.
Not the 60s and 70s?
Nah, 60s and 70s. I mean, the physiques were fine. They knew how to move. But the 80s was just the perfect
the start
development and the perfect conditioning. I felt 60s, 70s. The shape was there, the size was there. They knew how to move and pose. But I feel like more charisma, better posing, and just tighter physiques. You know, they were a lot drier.
Right.
80s and then 90s, just exaggerated, too big, and then the separation suffered. You know, the muscle separation. So for me, there's so many. I mean, Bob Paris. Although he never
number
really
one?
Sorry?
Is he number 1?
Number 1.
Let's start with number 3 first.
All right, number 3.
Yes.
All right, number 3. Geez. So tough
to narrow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very tough.
I'll tell you mine.
You tell me yours, yeah.
Okay. Because I'm from Tunisia, bodybuilding, we knew it through magazines. So it's not like in here. But from the movies, what we used to see there, it was Sylvester Stallone, Rambo and stuff. So those are the people. And then, of course, Arnold. Okay. But to me, Arnold, because I feel that he's iconic. The lats, the arms, you know. And the second one is Frank Zane. To me, Frank Zane is a great body. Even the proportion and the waist, the small waist, you know. So, and the number 3, in my opinion, was Franco, because even though he's, you know, short and stuff, but he was amazing, you know, in terms of separation and physique.
Beautiful density, phenomenal back, and he could hang with Arnold. I mean, he was a lot shorter than Arnold, but in some poses he actually was bigger than Arnold in a lot of the shots, pound for pound. I mean, he had a much thicker back. But yeah, I wasn't thinking of Arnold. I would honestly have to say, I'll start from the top. Without a doubt, no one touches Arnold's physique. Whether, I mean, you know, he was ahead of his time. Even during the 80s, no one really touched it. 90s, even today, no one can still touch that level of conditioning he had, which was perfect. The shape, the flow, he had it all. So I would actually say, I would have to agree with you
On
and
Arnold.
put Arnie up there. Number 2. Jeez. I would say, I would have to say Lee Haney.
Okay.
Yeah. Lee Haney. And I would probably put, when he was like totally ripped, I would put Danny Padilla as 3.
Mm-hmm. When was that?
Right?
When was that? Like which?
I think his best year was in 1981. Maybe they came 4th or 5th. You got to look at Danny Padilla.
Yeah.
See, I'm more, because I'm 5'7".
Yeah.
I like guys like Mohammed Benaziza. I don't know if you remember him.
I know him, of course. Yeah.
Mo Benaziza, and even actually, you know what? Ooh, yeah, it's a toss between, for 3. It's a toss between Muhammad McAway and maybe I can I take
Yes.
Padilla out?
Yeah.
I'll put McAway in there at 3, because to me,
Yeah.
he epitomizes what him and Arnie, right? They knew how to hide their weaknesses beautifully through the artistry of posing.
Yes.
And and now that I think of it, I'd put Samir Banu in second with Lee Haney.
Yes, he was
Because
phenomenal.
He's
too.
another man who is a master of sculpting such a beautiful physique.
Yes.
And a master of posing. But, you know, the thing with Samir is, you don't know, you know, he had flaws, and he'll admit it. Samir along with Lee Haney, all these guys, Arnold and Muhammad McAway, they probably had more flaws than anyone else. But they also, their physiques on stage stood out more than anyone else's.
Right.
Because they had that beautiful skin, the shape, and the separation was. I mean, did you see Banu's striations in his triceps?
Yeah. Phenomenal.
You don't see that today.
Even his biceps.
Yeah, you know, the split in the bicep. You don't see that today. I mean,
yeah, iconic physiques.
We're talking almost 40 years ago.
You
know?
Yes. Yeah, that's like I prefer those more than the late 90s and the 2000s.
Yeah, because
like,
you know
something else.
For me, Mo, is what's the core of the physique. I mean, obviously you have to have everything else, but your midsection, your lower back, your rectus, your obliques, all of this area needs to be tight and dry, not necessarily well defined, because again, that comes down to genetics. Not everyone has, right?
You have to control that, yeah.
Even guys like Casey Vieira, the blocky guys, Ron Tufel, they were blocky, Mike Mensa, but you know what? They managed to keep a tight, dry waist. Arnold even wasn't, you know, so that's the physique stems, you know, it starts there and it sprawls out from there. Yeah. And Banu, McAway, Arnold, Haney all had supreme midsections, you know? Yeah,
I agree with you. Well, I'm glad I watched that, you know, during that time. Okay, so let me ask you a question, and you have to choose only one.
Okay.
So for chest, incline dumbbell press or slightly declined dumbbell press?
Incline dumbbell press.
For back, lat pull down or pull-ups?
Pull-ups.
For biceps, dumbbell curls or barbell preacher curl?
Dumbbell curls.
For triceps, dips or dumbbell skull crusher on a flat bench?
Dips.
For calves, donkey calf raises or standing calf raise?
Donkey.
For abs, leg raises or crunches?
Leg raises.
Lower back, for back, is it let me see here. Yeah, the back extension or deadlift?
Well, if I was in my teens, early 20s, I would say deadlifts, but today, back extensions. Yeah.
For quads, squat or leg extension?
Squats. Yeah.
For hamstrings, seated leg curl or prone leg curl?
You mean the lying leg curl?
Yes.
Prone leg curl, yeah.
Trapezius, dumbbell shoulder shrugs or cable shrugs?
Dumbbell shrugs, yeah.
Side deltoids, standing dumbbell raises with arm slightly bent, lying on a bench, or overhead press?
The dumbbell side raises.
Okay. Yeah, I think we covered all. But you didn't tell me, like, are you a trainer right now? You do personal training?
Yeah. I have a business here in New York.
So you're in New York, huh?
Yeah, in Manhattan. Yeah.
Nice. And
it's going well.
Perfect. How important is it to win Mr. Universe title? Like, how does that impact
the business?
Yes.
I mean, that's always a consideration for me. How does this help my business? And honestly, it keeps me current. Like, I've been, like you said, I started competing in 19. I took many years off, and competing and staying in shape, it motivates your clients. Right. It inspires them. It's like, oh wow, people that never even considered competing are now saying, you know what, I think I might do a physique show, or you think I got it? You think I could do a bodybuilding show, Gennaro? I'm like, I get excited. I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. Let's do it. I had a young kid, Matthew Babcox, who came to me a few months back, and he was soft, but he's a strong guy. I've seen him in the gym, and he's like, I want you to train me for a show. And we had like 14 weeks, and he got 2 runner-up spots in a natural OCB show in Baltimore. So, and he came up to me when I was training people on the Hudson River, and I was coaching this guy how to pose. And he looked at me, he's like, that looks really cool. He goes, because he came from a powerlifting background, this young kid, Matthew. Mm-hmm. And he's like, wow, I'd love to do that. And I said, well, let's sit down and maybe look at some shows for August, September, October. This was in April, May. And we put it all together, the training, the nutrition, the posing. And he was like, he was born again, Wow. He's something he never even considered. And then when he saw me helping this guy posing, he's like, wow, that's cool. I can do that on stage, So, and he really loved the posing. Like he was, like I said, come on, reach, Yeah. So it being, competing, like for me, honestly, I feel like a kid again. Like, I feel like I'm sort of competing as a teenager almost, It's fun, So yes. Not only do I love it, but it's also like it's good for business, right?
Yes.
Women, whether it's women bikini competitors or men's physique or even I've even coached pro bodybuilders.
Right.
For posing, for nutrition, for training, because there's always room for improvement, Mo, you know?
For sure.
And
There is always room for improvement.
But it does help to have current titles under your belt, and it also helps to be in shape yourself, right?
Yes.
I mean, would you want to hire a trainer who's in good condition, who actually looks like what he preaches, walk the talk, or would you want to hire someone who's fat and lazy and has bagels and cream cheese for breakfast? I don't know.
Yeah, and most important, you went through the system, like how you should start competing, what you should eat, the mistakes you should avoid, because people basically are going to hire you for that, you know, to avoid. It's like you show them the shortcut, but they still have to do the work, you know. And that's what is beneficial. Like, time is the most important thing. And if you help someone saving time on things that he should not do, you know, that's the best thing.
That's the reason why people come to me and go to you and go to professionals who are successful, is because we've stayed the course. You know, we've been doing it for many, many years. Trial and error, you learn what works and what you should leave behind.
Right.
And that's why, you know, transformation programs like the one I offer work, because we fast track our clients. We don't mess around with exercise that don't work. We don't eat foods that don't provide you the proper nutrients or the energy. Give you the basic whole foods with the basic compound movements with some isolation thrown in there. You know, less is more, basic is best. You know, that's basically it.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's important for people to know that each has his own style, right? Your experience, you're good at it. You know how to do it and how to guide people through it. And sometimes I also feel that it's necessary for some people to do wrong things in the beginning. So when they hire someone and show them the way, they know the difference and the value of the things they are learning.
Absolutely. I mean, it's important to make mistakes.
Yes.
Sometimes we repeat them.
But
ideally, we learn from them down the track, you know?
Yeah. These are personalized lessons. If taken positively, you know, that's how you can improve, you know?
You can't hold on to, what if, you know, it's what's done is done, you know? Right. It happened for a reason.
Yes.
You know, it happened to make us better, stronger, and smarter, you know?
Right. Before we wrap it up, I'm just curious, like, what is your body fat percentage right now on average?
I don't honestly know. I've been measured before, and usually off season, you know, year round lean shape. I think I was about 8.5, 9, but I don't know. I mean,
you look pretty ripped, man.
You know, after the show, I ate everything. I had pizza, Brazilian sushi, fried foods, ice cream, chocolate.
Spoiled yourself.
Wednesday day, I said enough, because I'm getting carried away now.
Yeah.
And that's what I suggest people, that, you know, after 3-4 days of eating whatever you want, but then you have to, you know, bring it all back and start eating clean again.
How did you look after 2 days when you ate all this as compared to the competition?
Better. I mean, I was a lot fuller, but also, but the abs were still there. I still had veins on my abs. They were just a little distended, you know, from all the food.
This is in the morning or evening?
What you mean after I ate?
Yeah, like when you looked the same day after you ate, or when you woke up in the morning?
Yeah,
Before you
usually
eat enough.
like the next morning,
Yes.
a lot fuller, harder. Not actually the stomach, but then a couple of days after that,
Right.
still pretty hard and vascular, but then the stomach started getting a little bloated.
Yes.
So that's why I'm always a bit cautious about carving up too much. I think you're always going to be, if you're dry, if you come in dry and you carve up, you can eat basically a lot, and still look nice and full, but then you have to watch the stomach, you know?
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, you have to be careful. Well, Gennaro, thank you very much for your time. It was really a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, Mo. Thank you.
And great interview. I will be posting it on YouTube later.
Awesome, mate. No, thanks
All right.
a lot, Mo.
And we will talk again. Thank you very much for your time.
No worries. And also, would you be able to send me a copy of this?
Sure, I will.
All right, cool.
Okay. All right.
Mate.
Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, mate. Thanks,
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.